Oh, strap yourself in. I got a good one today. Ever have one of those moments when you're sure, you are absolutely positive that something or someone is out to get you, and then you realize that it's all in your head? Today, I want to share a story. This thing taught me one of the most freeing lessons of my life, that I'm not my thoughts, I'm the thinker of my thoughts. And if you want to live in chronic joy and zero suffering, this is the tool. When you separate the two, the thinker of your thoughts and your thoughts, you take back control over the entire experience of living. If you want to have a different experience and not place blame and take full responsibility, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. Here's the Uncle Sam on a bike story. Every morning here in Cape Cod, I drive down 137 from Brewster to Chatham, and I would go to the supermarket or drop my dog Bowie off at the Chatham Dog Club. And every day I'd pass this same business, and out front was this lawn ornament. And yeah, here it is, Uncle Sam in a full red, white, and blue on a bike. The first time I saw him, he caught my eye because he looked like he was just moving. You know, his wheels were spinning. And I smiled and I said, "What's up, Uncle Sam?" It was just playful. I'm just having fun. I'm by myself talking to myself, but it probably looked funny from the outside. The second time I came by and I'm like, "Oh, cool. Look at Uncle Sam. He's on a bike." I didn't notice. I just saw Uncle Sam waving, right? Still good vibes. The third time, the whole different story showed up. I looked at him and thought, wait, is he giving me the finger? Is he flipping me off? Suddenly my mind flipped and I said, "Hi, neighbor." Before, the same thing I'm looking at, I'm bringing something different. Hi, neighbor originally, to this guy is flipping me off. Now a threat. Ego kicks in. By the fourth time, my inner roommate, the constant chatter in your head, that inner roommate, unevictable, had gone full conspiracy mode. "Look at that asshole Uncle Sam. Want to take my hard-earned money. He's on a bike. He's shoving in my face. He's probably laughing at me." Here's the truth. I wasn't actually seeing Uncle Sam anymore. I was seeing my own thoughts, my own pain. You see, earlier this year, I had to donate all my two-wheel vehicles, all of them, my mountain bikes, my road bikes, even my Vespa that had like 20 miles on it because of a near-death accident that I had on my bike. And man, I had to sell this Vespa for half the price I paid. That hurt. And deep down, I missed riding. I didn't ride my bike all summer, and I would ride 100 miles a week. So we don't see how life is. We see how through the eyes of our own stuff over here. And I thought, man, when I saw this harmless lawn ornament, my ego took over and I made up the whole story. I linked it to my loss and I turned Uncle Sam into the villain. And that's when it hit me. If I could do this for a plastic lawn prop, I can definitely do it with people in my life. And maybe you do too. And by the way, I definitely did it in my own life. How I led my team, how I talked to my family. If you want to have a different experience at the home and not place blame and take full responsibility, I'm going to show you how to do that right now. This is the shift between the ego and self. You see, we need both of them. For most of my life, I thought those thoughts were me. Those thoughts are not us. They're automatic. That whatever comes into our head, we think is our reality. I thought was my reality. But I wanted you to consider something new. I learned something that completely changed how I experienced life. I'm actually two things. I'm my ego. That's a part of me. And then it has a function. And then I'm my capital S-E-L self, right? Self, the self of who I am. See, I never had that. So just stay with me. We're not our thoughts and we think we are, but then there's something else at play that really balances everything out, right? We've had those experiences where you have stretches of misery and glimpses of peace. This is how to have stretches of peace and glimpses of misery. I'm not kidding you. I'm living this and I coach it and give it away, and I'm finally doing it on the podcast here. See, the ego isn't bad. It's like a security guard at the door of your mind. Its job is to keep you safe. it maintains your identity story. So we create an identity for ourselves at a very young age, and that's a whole other part of, or another many other episodes. I'm not going to go there right now, but we create identities, and then we have to live them out in the world, and that's where the exhaustion comes from. That's where masking up and putting on an air, and you're living a world out here, and then the world inside is a little different. So that's where the really the emptiness comes from, right? So that's another issue that's being dealt here by getting this distinction. And then the ego also spots and threats and warns you, right? It's when the ego starts loving its ability to dramatize, like take a situation and escalate it, right? There's like adrenaline, there's all kinds of stuff in there. But imagine not taking a situation and 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 dramatizing it and escalating it, like having the ability to tap into the self, which keeps it right there, doesn't add anything that makes it worse. Because I used to take, something small and, throw it into something that was way bigger than it needed to be. Control is another one. So we tend to, I'm a control freak. That's how we get results. That's how we feel safe. Like those things, like actually you spend less time doing those things when you're not hanging out in the ego and you're still safe, right? And you're still producing results. And then judgment, like we don't realize, we walk through and we go, oh, beautiful, not so beautiful. Nice person, not no nice person. I never know who it is. I'm just from how I look through my eyes, I'm making interpretations of people and really judging books by covers. And that doesn't always work. You have to get to the truth behind those things. And then comparing, like, oh, I'm better than that. I'm not better than that. It's that comparison rather than identification and learning from somebody. Comparing versus identifying from really causes the ego just to go batshit crazy. So when you live only in the ego, you live in constant reaction. Many men come to me and they say, man, I want to learn how to respond rather than how to react. A reaction is just an emotional outburst that usually leaves dead people behind. There are situations that we need to come to and we need to respond to. We can't just like ignore it or deny it, but you can come from a grounded place and people can actually hear you. And this is how, arguments get escalated. I spent many days not talking to my wife, and it was all because of my Uncle Sam moments, putting those out into my wife's world and then having arguments about it. So the self is very different. The capital SELF is very different. The self is the awareness behind the thoughts, the thinker having the thoughts. It's calm, it's grounded, it's connected, it's creative, it's compassionate, because we already are all the things we want to be. And what happens is the ego comes in and doesn't allow us to see who we really, really are, and doesn't allow the ground of self to take over and deal with interactions that we have in life. So when the self sees Uncle Sam, he just sees Uncle Sam. See, he sees Uncle Sam for reality. That's a lawn ornament. That's Uncle Sam. When the ego sees him, in my case, it was applying two things. My trigger for around money, right? And, immediately the first thing you learn when you have economic insecurity or poverty thinking, like, oh, the tax man, like I had a horrible relationship to taxes. And I got re-educated and reframed that taxes, I use a lot of services and it's a success tax. And I reframed it. Now I don't stress a tax time, where I used to be a twisted nut, right? So when the ego sees him, he sees a threat at Uncle Sam. He sees a personal story, a personal insult. So we take it personally, and it's mapped out from our thoughts. So the magic here is realizing that you get to choose which one drives, the ego driving your life or yourself driving your life, right? That is a distinction that I want you to get first, because now I want to give you some practical things, because this might seem like, you can't put your finger on it. So stay with me here. It's really important. I'm going to walk you through some practical tools so that you can start living from self and less from ego. Let me give you the 3 tools right now. The first one is name the voice. So name the voice that's talking to you, or the thought. When it pops in, label it. Oh, that's my ego talking, or oh, That's myself talking. You can feel it, and you can feel it in your body. When yourself is speaking, you're not twisted. You don't have your knickers in a twist, somebody said. I thought that was a funny thing. It's an English term. Or your stomach in knots, right? Um, when your ego's talking, there's there's like this tension and there's this knot in your body. And so just naming it. Okay, yep, that's my ego talking. Up, that's myself. Yep. Oh, okay. Now I can see it because we live through these, but we don't label it. Name the voice. Who's talking to you? Is it the ego or is it the self? That's number one. Second, pause before believing. So I use the word believing here because that is the thing that hooks you in, doesn't let you be yourself, and takes over and cause dramatization, controlling, efforting, fighting, arguing. Um, Here's the thing. When you notice a strong reaction and you feel your body tense, ask yourself, is this true or is this my mind's story? Is it fact or fiction? Right? That's what you want to distinguish. So now you're like, okay, the act of naming separates it. Now you're noticing, you ask the question before you pounce, right? Before you pounce and start going after it and reacting. Is this true or is this my mind story? Now all of a sudden you're breaking it down and going, okay, let me see if this is real or not. The next thing is you reframe the story. Take the thought and flip it. Instead of saying this guy is giving me the finger, try that, oh, that's a festive ornament. Or maybe, oh, look at him. He likes bikes too, like I do, right? These may sound simple, but when you practice them daily, they change everything. You stop living in reaction to the random weather in your mind. Think about that. You're not going to be this reactionary machine that has thoughts that you didn't choose. They were just being given to you. And now you're living your whole life out from them. A friend of mine, my new friend here in Cape Cod, love this guy, Matt. His name is Matt. And he told me he did an exercise where he had to look at a wall for 20 minutes and he had to time it. And he couldn't itch his nose if he had an itch. And he just had to sit there looking at the wall. And then he noticed that there's three types of thoughts that come in, right? Three types of thoughts. Your to-do list, right? All the things you need to do. So you're just supposed to be looking at the wall and not itching yourself or moving, like really sitting still. And by the way, the first thing that happened was he got an itch on his nose and just stood there and then it went away. The next thing, he noticed that there were three types of thoughts. The first thought was his to-do list, what he's going to do. The second part of the list is mental forecasting. And it's not usually for you. Like this is happening, and then you take it out to catastrophic impending doom levels, mental forecasting. And the last one is memories, any type of memories. I just went, I went for a lobster roll with my son at Cecil, Harbor, right? So it's like, those are the three types of thoughts. Now you're starting to notice like the thoughts, the types of thoughts. Like this is a bonus aspect because I just had lunch with Matt and he taught me this. So I thought it would be a perfect place to add it here. So here's my challenge to you for the week. For the next 7 days, I want you to notice every time you feel triggered or annoyed. Write it down. Have a little pad with you or put it in your phone notes. What happened? What happened? Just write the what happened down. See, when you get into more facts rather than story and you get into the what happens, now all of a sudden you have access points. This second step is, what is the story that your ego made up? What is the story your ego made up? And then here's where you transform it. What would the self say for that same thing that happened? What would the self say for the same thing that happened? So let me review. When you feel triggered or annoyed, step number 1, what happened? Step number 2, what is the story my ego made up? Step number 3, what would myself say about it instead? So what happened? I drove past this lawn ornament. 2, the story I made up was, hey, Uncle Sam initially. Then the story I made up. Yep. That story. Yep. I'm going, that's what happens. I get triggered. He's on a bike. He's trying to get my money. That's the story my ego made up. And then what myself might say instead would be, oh, look at cute Uncle Uncle Sam on a bike. He gets to ride a bike. I don't. Like, so what? No, you know, or it could be like, hey, um, Uncle Sam, like who would put an Uncle Sam, all summer on their front lawn? That's pretty funny, Or just keep it simple, but like just notice that you'll be amazed about how much stress and suffering, yeah, is self-created. How much stress and suffering is actually self-created, and how much peace comes from letting the self lead. So if you've been living as if your thoughts, I want you to know that there's another way. One where you can see clearly, you can choose wisely, and create experiences that actually serve you. Let's just even say that I just made this whole thing up, and I did. But it's going to give you a tool that's going to allow you to live life much more peaceful, much more joyous, and produce serious results. Because, like I did, I used to alienate myself from people, tell them what to do, and they'd be seething, having to do the work. Didn't work. See, the work we do in the inside man is separating the noise from the truth so you can live from your highest self. If you want to go deeper, hey, I got a program coming up this December. Let me get out of the way here. Scan that bad boy. Scan that bad boy. It's the couples experience where we go through the work that you're going to learn, that we're learning here on the podcast. You're going to have the ability to do it with your spouse. Imagine taking a deep dive and doing the work together and being in communication. And Judith is going to be there. So you're going to be able to tap into my wife's world and really learn some of this stuff from her perspective as well. So the next time you see a lawn ornament, remember, it's probably not flipping you off like I thought it did for me. So I want you to turn into this, check it out, try it on like a loose garment, and I'll see you when I see you next week. Thanks for listening, and make sure you click the bell. Please leave comments. Thank you for all your dedication and listening. We're so excited. We've surpassed 4,000 listeners, and we're getting up to 1,500 views on our on the podcast itself. And I can't thank you enough for sharing this, because we can make this a better planet together. I look forward to seeing you next week on The Inside Man.